right, our next guest is here to share some new data on the growing economic force of Latinos in the United States. Joining us right now is Trujillo Group's founder and chairman, Saul Trujillo. He is the chairman of the Latino Donor Collaborative, the founder of Latitude Ventures Fund, and founder of the Velocity Business Conference, which is kicking off in Los Angeles later today. They're releasing part 2 of their U.S. Latino GDP report, which measures the economic growth and influence of U.S. Latinos at the state and industry level. And Saul, thanks a lot for being here. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you, and thank you for having me.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about what this report breaks down. Go ahead.
Great. Well, a couple of months ago, we announced part 1 of the study, which the big numbers are $4.1 trillion of GDP, which puts it in a context slightly greater than the GDP of India. So contextualizing it, it's right here inside the United States. It's not LATAM. It's not a lot of other things. At the same time, it's driving consumption. And one of the things that you all have been talking about the last few weeks with retail sales and other things is that consumption is a challenge going forward in our country. And part of it is when the retail sales were announced, it was basically mostly price ups as opposed to volumes. And so we have the great side of AI, huge amount of investment, but at the end of the day, the economy works 2/3 based on consumption. So we have a cohort here, the U.S. Latino cohort, that is driving much of that growth, and it's youthful, and it's going to only get bigger for the next 2 or 3 decades based upon birth rates, not based upon immigration or some of the other, what you might call contentious issues. But it's a reflection of the value of what we've had historically. So now we're seeing that the states of Texas in this report, the states of California, the states of Illinois, Florida, and others, their economies and the GDP growth within those states is almost anywhere between 50 and 2/3 percentage driven by the U.S. Latino cohort. As entrepreneurs, business people, as people that are workers within sectors that need to grow. And now that we're really turbocharging the AI investment engine, where you're reporting almost every day some new investment, the question is not only the announcement of what you're going to do, but how are you going to get it done? And that's the other side of the equation where we need workers.
Let's break down some of these numbers. You are looking at state-level forecasts that you're expecting California to surpass $1.4 trillion in Latino GDP, Texas $1.1 trillion. But you say the fastest growth is really coming in other state economies, Ohio more than 87%, Pennsylvania more than 75%, Michigan more than 65%. What does that mean, Latino GDP? That's what they earn and what they spend?
Yes, it's a combination. It's the same thing of everybody else. It's investment. So there's a lot of entrepreneurship building. Part of it's the consumption, which is the biggest part. And then the other side of it is that the value that's received in terms of the workers that are there, their payments into Social Security and all the other parts of our, let's call it their tax system that we have in our country. But it's great to see that it's not just in the big states that we always think of, Texas, California, Florida, New Mexico, that sort of thing. But across the country, these workers are needed, and also entrepreneurs are needed, as well as the whole consumption side. So we saw probably 8-10 years ago in North Dakota when the pipeline was being built and they were doing fracking. Well, guess what? North Dakota, now 5% of their population are Latinos because they went there to work, they created businesses, and they're contributing to the economy. Now that's happening in Ohio and many of the states that you were referring to. Tennessee's one of the states. So where you think about economic growth in states, whether they're red or they're blue, this cohort is part of the underlying infrastructure of how these states can grow. Because if you don't have workers, it's really hard. So
we're about out of time, and I want to get through a couple other points with you. You say it's reshaping markets. You've made the point that this is a younger demographic, and part of this report says that the cohort represents 20% of all video on demand usage, 26% of vehicle purchases. So I guess the younger demographic is doing things a little differently.
Well, I don't know that they're doing things differently. It's just that there's such a high percentage of the cohort that buys things, right? The retirees, the baby boomers, you know, when they reach that point in their lives, they're not spending as much on virtually everything. And so the younger working age cohort, which are the Latinos, they're making a huge difference in our economy for the consumption side of our economy. But now when we talk AI and we talk about all these investments, we need workers. And right now we're short 3.5 million workers, given the projects that have been announced, that you announce almost every day on the show. And we need to think about this as part of our economic strategy and not dismiss it, not just think about deportation, not just think about limiting immigration, because that's been the strength that Ronald Reagan brought to our country when he was president.